Welcome back, my dear viewers. Today I came up with another interesting topic, port channel, or you can say it as Ethernet channel. Before knowing it in depth, let me brief the port channel's vital features. Now I am showcasing a simple network with 3 layer 2 switches and 3 endpoints. Most of the endpoints like personal computers, laptops, printers, and other wired gadgets usually have only one NIC card, network interface card. Exceptionally, few endpoint servers might have the redundant NIC cards. So we usually don't consider endpoints while discussing the port channels because the port channels are usually configured between the network devices such as switches, routers, firewalls. A promising redundant network will always have some redundant links. Though it is a great advantage of having the redundant links in the network, there are some drawbacks that we cannot refuse. I will give you a simple example for that. Consider one layer 2 switch. Now in this network, I didn't configure any port channel. So the switch consider each and every interface independently. So whenever the switch needs to learn a MAC from the receiving frame, or it has to flood the frame across the switch ports, the switch has to consider all the interfaces every time. Let's trace it. The packet is generated. It reached the switch. Anyway, this frame is going to forward it to the switch 2. But the switch 1 treats all the interfaces independently. So it takes the copy of the frame and forward it to both these interfaces. Now the switch 2 received two two similar frames, and one frame is discarded due to this blocking port. So every time switch acts like this. Also, you can see there is a loop formation in this redundant link. So these two switches have already communicated and did some STP and finally found this blocking port and blocked this port in STP. So the advantage of the port channel is to reduce the work of the network device. If the network device has the redundant link to the same device. By enabling the port channel between these switches, I am simply going to bundle these two links together, and when I do that, these two links will be acting as a one single logical link, though there are two physical links. Now without wasting the time, let's get into the configuration part first. Similar to dynamic trunking protocol for trunk formation, for Ethernet channel formation, we do have two different dynamic protocols, and the protocols are port aggregation protocol and link aggregation control protocol. Port aggregation protocol is Cisco proprietary. By using this protocol, devices can negotiate automatically and add its interfaces in the port channel. LACP also works like PAGP, but there are little differences. Let me explain it. Let's do the configuration. So it is related to interface. So you need to log into the interface configuration mode. Log into the interface that you want to add into the port channel. I have two interfaces, gig 2/1 and 3/1, and I am going to add it into the port channel. I am in the interface configuration mode. The keyword is channel group, and you need to mention the channel group number. The channel group number is locally significant. I'm mentioning the group number as 1. So when I am configuring other interface 3/1, you need to use the same channel group number so that both the interfaces will be added into this channel group. Next, mode. We need to choose the mode of negotiation, whether it is a statical or dynamical. When you give on, then the port channel will be established statically. Now let me show the dynamic configuration. If you are choosing the port aggregation protocol, then you have to give the mode either desirable or auto. If you give auto, then it will not initiate any negotiation. It is simply going to wait for someone to initiate the negotiation. So among these two switches, any one switch should be connected in desirable and other switch can be in auto. So I am going to enable this in desirable. Now I added the gig 2/1 interface into the port channel. I am configuring the same in other interface as well. I am adding this 3/1 interface also in the channel group 1 and the mode is desirable. Make sure you are choosing the same mode in both the interfaces. It is done. Now I did the configuration in switch 1. Let me verify that. Show ether channel summary. It will show you the port channel that you configured. I configured the port channel and the ports, 2 ports I tagged. You can see the flag I. I represents standalone. I have configured port channel only on this switch, so it's been waiting for the other switch. And the SD represents layer 2 down. The port channel is not become up. That is what it depicts. Let me go to the next one. Same 2/1 and 3/1 interfaces to be called inside the group. Since the channel group is local significant, you can choose any other number. I am choosing 2. And the mode in this switch I configured desirable. So here I am going to choose auto. These interfaces are 2/1 and 3/1. So I am bundling up these interfaces alone. Show ether channel summary. Yes, you can see the port channel status now. Yes, you. Layer 2, capital S. Layer 2, it's a case sensitive. So capital S, layer 2 and U in use. Now you can see the capital P denotes this port belongs to the port channel, and capital I denotes it is in standalone. Earlier it was in standalone. Now the communication happened and it became the member of the port channel. You can see now I bundled these two links. So all the four physical interfaces are up. So these two switches are considering this link as a single link logically. I haven't configured the port channel here, so it is still applying the STP. There is a one more command to verify the port channel. Show ether channel port channel. It gives you some detailed view of port channel. It's a group 1, it's locally significant, and the port channel name port channel 1. There are two ports in that, logical slot and the port, and the protocol, port aggregation protocol is used. And the interface mode, we kept it in the desirable mode in switch 1. So this is what it is showing. Let's see the difference quickly after configuring the port channel. I initiated. It is flowing only through the port channel. Receiving on the port channel. Also, apart from the ICMP packets and the STP packets, I can view some of the port aggregation protocol packets. So these two switches will be communicating periodically to make sure the other switch is up and responding. If you configure the LACP instead of PAGP, LACP packets will be exchanged between the switches. So you may ask, Perumal, what is the protocol is going to be used if we are configuring the static Ethernet channel? Your question is valid. If you use the Ethernet channels by using the static configuration, at the time it will use the CDP protocol, Cisco Discovery Protocol, to know the status of the neighbor device. Let me change the configuration to static one quickly. This side I configured statically. Now I am at the switch 2. The channel group is 2 and the mode is static. So if you choose the static mode, then you need to click on. Done. Now I configured it statically. It takes some time for the negotiation. Yes, you can see the bunch of Cisco Discovery Protocol packets. Actually, this protocol is used to verify the other end of the Ethernet channel in case of static configuration. That is all about the configuration part. As a network engineer, you may already know configuring Ethernet channel is not a big deal. But once you have done the configuration, if you face any issues, you need to know where to check and what could be the issue. That is a big challenge if we take Ethernet channels. When you found any issue in the Ethernet channel, make sure all the physical ports are fulfilling the prerequisites to become the member of the port channel. This is the most basic thing you need to check before configuring the port channel. Not only these two ports, including the ports involved in the port channel. All the ports in the port channel should be in same speed and same duplex settings, and either it has to be in access mode or in trunk mode. If it is in an access mode, then it should have the same VLAN. If it is in a trunk mode, then there is a allowed VLAN, then it must have the same set of allowed VLANs, and the native VLANs also must be matched. So make sure your physical ports are fulfilling all these conditions before configuring it in the port channel. I'll disturb one of these settings in one of the interfaces and show you how it impacts the port channel. I'll take the gig 7/1 in the switch 3. I am in the switch 3 now. Since I connected the devices with the fiber interfaces, I cannot add the duplex as a half. So I am changing the switch port mode. Currently the switch port is access port with the default VLAN. I am going to change it to trunk mode. After changing the trunk mode, I received the bunch of error messages. It changed to down. Again it shows it is up. The individual interface became up, and gig 7/1 is not compatible with fast Ethernet 4/1. So it is suspended. These two interfaces doesn't have the same switch port mode now. Just now I changed it to trunk, so it become down. Not down, that particular interface is suspended from the Ethernet channel. Let me show it. You can use the command show Ethernet summary, it will show. Gig 7/1 is flagged with small s. Small s is suspended. So this interface is suspended from this port channel. Still this port channel is up, but this port, physical port, gig 7/1 is no longer the member of this port channel. That is what it depicts. It seems better to transfer the frames over the Ethernet channel, but the switches do some phenomenal work in the background while transferring the frames through the Ethernet channel. I'll ask you a question. Now you are raising a packet from one of the endpoints and it reached the switch has to forward it to the port channel. It has to forward it to the port channel, but in port channel it has multiple ports. It has 2 ports. Which physical port it actually chooses? So this is where the switch is doing a great job. Actually, the switch balance the load between the physical interfaces of the Ethernet channel. The load balance we can define based on which parameter the load has to be balanced. It is customizable. There is a command to specify the load balancing mechanisms. Port channel, load balance, and it offers 6 methods now. The load can be balanced based on the destination IP, destination MAC, both source and destination IP, source and destination MAC, source IP, source MAC. These are all the parameters. Based on these parameters, we can balance the loads. So the effective approach to balance the load is, rather than balancing the load per packet, it is always better to balance the load per application. I'll explain you. Now I hosted a web service on this server. I'm trying to fetch the web service from this PC. If I am using per packet load balancing, then this switch forward one packet through this physical interface and one packet to another physical interface. Obviously, there are multiple packet exchange between the client and the server. If one of the physical link is utilized more, then the packet is flowing through that link will face some delay in receiving the destination or the source. So it is always better to balance the load between the application. If I am trying one web server, throughout my session, it has to use only one physical link. So we need to configure the load balancing like that to get the effective performance. There is a command to test the load balancing, test ether channel load balance, but I'm not sure why it is not working in this device. You can note down this command. You can try it in the real switches and real routers. Another biggest advantage is if you want to change the state of the interface, for example, to shut or unshut the interface administratively, instead of doing in every physical interface, you can get into the port channel interface and you can simply apply the command on that interface. So all the port channel member will become down if you do that. I'm doing it in port channel 2. Now the port channel is become down. You can see the status is down. Again it become up. So it is very easy. And I wish to explain another important thing, the major difference between the LACP and the PAGP, port aggregation protocol. The LACP gives some standby interfaces. It can support up to 16 interfaces. If in this topology I have only 2 links. Assume if you are having 16 link between 2 devices, you can use LACP to bundle all the interfaces together. If you do that, only 8 interfaces will be active at a time and remaining 8 interfaces will be in hot standby. It will be ready to take over if an active interface getting failed. But if you use port aggregation protocol, it doesn't support the standby interface. Also, it supports only up to 8 interfaces. And yes, that's all I've got. I guess you really liked this video. If you did, please hit the like button. Also, you can consider subscribing my channel. Hit the bell icon without fail to get notified. I'll see you soon with another exciting video. Thank you guys.